Everybody out there, welcome to the Leupold Core Insider. This is a podcast form. It's going to be a lot of good information that we're going to be delivering to all of our fans throughout the year. So we're going to have different news articles we're going to be sending out to our folks through email. We're going to be having some live stream videos that we're going to be doing throughout the year, which is going to be great. And then currently you're listening to a podcast version of that, where we're going to have a lot of our guests come on, a lot of our partners and our fans, because it's all about the people. So, welcome to the Leupold Core Insider Podcast.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
How often are you going to be doing it?
We are going to be doing it probably starting out just once a month, just to kind of, as people come through the office, we want them to be able to, come in, take a tour, see what it's like to make scopes in America and meet the people behind the product.
Yep.
Give visibility to all the workers, because
Made in USA, baby.
That's it. We do what we do because we do what we do.
Yep.
Right? That's simple enough.
I like that. I can even roll with that. I can remember that one.
Exactly. So, to that point, launching this new campaign, Be Relentless. Really, the point of the Be Relentless campaign is the fact that, one of our core values and our core purpose at Leupold is to help people create epic moments. But epic moments, they don't happen on their own, and they don't just happen overnight. It's because all the people that use our products are relentless. Every day. They grind, they don't quit, they don't give up. And it's a really unique thing. You get out there and, most people don't understand, the effort that goes into hunting and just being a true outdoorsman. And so when we were thinking, hey, who should we talk to about being relentless? Mr. Fred Eichler. The other voice that you're hearing today, one of the most relentless people that I know. Fred, what I'd like to use to kind of dig in a little bit is the idea of this Superslam. So I know that you completed that. How long ago was that?
10, 12 years ago. When did I finish Superslam? My wife's here. She's way smarter than I am. She keeps track of all that stuff. Yeah, about 10, 12 years ago. All 29 species in North America with a recurve bow.
All 29 species.
It's like the Everest. To me, I looked at it like the Everest of bow hunting, and honestly didn't know if I was tough enough physically and mentally to even do it.
So why don't you just kind of tell everybody, how did that idea kind of come about?
No sweat. Well, the first guy to ever do it, and the guy that named it actually what it is, was Chuck Adams. Chuck Adams was the first bow hunter to take every species in North America that basically, was counted by Boone and Crockett or Pope and Young, and took them all with a compound bow. And when that happened, it was in the 80s, I was just like, that's unbelievable. I can't even imagine. So I was like, I want to try and do that. Of course, I didn't have the money, and I didn't have the time. I was managing a small archery shop, and I'm like, that has got to be the Everest to me, you know what I mean, just to try and do that. So I thought, I'm going to make that one of my lifetime goals. I'm going to try and take maybe a different animal every year. So I literally, when you say relentless, or hardcore, I lived in a one-bedroom apartment with another guy separately. I just want to put that out there. But we literally shared a little one-bedroom, apartment. We had our little cots on each side, because I spent every dollar I had on trying to pursue that goal. And it was truly a goal for me. And part of it was to see if I was tough enough to try and do it. And there were times, honestly, I was like, maybe I'm just not tough enough to get a stone sheep with a recurve bow. This is really difficult. So the really cool thing is I got it done. And, the sheep, the grizzly bear, polar bear, brown bear, some of them were super difficult hunts because of either the terrain, the weather, the fact that I had chosen to do it with a recurve. So you're talking trying to get really close range to some of the toughest animals to hunt in North America. So to me, that's what it was all about, was pushing myself physically and mentally.
What was the hardest species to get?
Man, you know what? Every one. I know that sounds cheeseball, but I'm not even kidding. Every one, they all had their own unique set of challenges. You know what I mean? Coos deer, or technically cows deer, you know what I mean? Arizona, for example, a super difficult, smallest deer in the 5 species to hunt, super jittery. I hunted on public land over a water hole, so it wasn't like, I paid a outfitter a gajillion, dollars to go hunt a place that wasn't hunted. I was on public land dealing with a whole bunch of other hunters trying to shoot one of the most difficult deer to shoot, in my opinion, with a recurve bow. So each one to me, had its own challenges, whether it's mule deer, elk, or, you know what I mean? The sheep were all tough. Rocky Mountain goats, you know what I mean? You're scaling the side of a cliff, afraid you're going to fall any second, but like that drive keeps you going. You know what I mean? Man, I want to try and get within 20 yards of a Rocky Mountain goat, at 13,000 feet. So it was all, I mean, not to keep blabbing, but it was, I'm still excited about it because it was such a neat way to push myself on every facet. You know what I mean? Not only I took more, I think, animals self-guided, you know what I mean, as far as on the Superslam than anyone has at the time, because that was important to me too.
Right.
Now, certain animals, legally, I had to go with a guide. Up at Alaska, I had to have a guide for the grizzly. I had to have a guide for the brown bear, the polar bear. So there were some animals that wasn't even an option, but a lot of them I did just myself, public land hunts, and that was really fun to me as well to do that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So going up, you speaking of hunting grizzlies and being up in Alaska, I know that in some of our spots that we have, got some footage of a grizzly bear charging. Is that you?
That was me. That was me in the Raft.
Tell me how did that come about?
That was.
I want to know the beginning, middle, and end of that story.
There's so many crazy. That's one of a bunch. And like you said, the guys that Leupold has on their team, like Kyle Lamb, some of the guys that I know that you guys work with, Randy, there's a bunch of guys that are super hardcore guys, and all of them have similar stories, but I've almost been, I've had plane crashes, boat flips, charged by a brown bear. There have been some crazy things, but on that particular one, we flew into the middle of nowhere in Alaska, public land. We pumped up a raft with a little foot pump, because we had to get all our gear in there as lightweight as we could. Filled up the raft, and I was with a guide, Bron Kopsak, and we were floating down this river. And I had my bow, didn't have a rifle, a handgun, anything else with me. Bron was carrying a handgun, and fortunately actually had it on his side. And I thought it was really cool because I looked up, and any time you could spot something before a guide, you're always proud of that. I'm a guide myself, so I kind of pride myself on spotting stuff. And I'm like, hey, there's a bear, and Bron's like, oh, it's got some cubs with it. And at the time, I didn't think anything about it. But when you're in a situation where you're in a raft and you see something like that, what happens? I'll tell you, everybody stops paddling because you look up and you're like, oh, wow, that's cool. So everybody stops keeping the raft under control. So everybody pulls their paddle out of the water and they're looking. Well, the raft in the river turns, and now I am sitting in the front left of the boat. But as the boat turns, I am now closest to this huge brown bear with its cubs. I'm like, what is going on? How did that just happen? As the river's carrying us. And the sow did exactly what she should have done. She was trying to avoid a confrontation. She took off in the brush and disappeared. The three cubs had no idea what was going on. I'm sure they had never seen their mother run from anything, including another brown bear. They were standing there. They had never seen a raft. They're looking at this thing. The sows took off, but her cubs aren't coming to join her. And she's watching this raft get closer and closer. So, protecting her cubs, she full-on charges us. It's hard to describe that feeling. I mean, you couldn't have got a grease BB in my butt with a hammer. That's the only way I could describe that pucker factor. It was one of those 1 second everything's great, like, oh, wow, look at that huge brown bear sow with three cubs. And all of a sudden it's like, she's charging directly at me. So, fortunately, Bron, I wish I could tell you, well, in that situation, what I did, I didn't do anything. I think I squealed a little maybe. Sounded like my sister when she was younger. But this brown bear came across the water, and Bron, and it's cool to watch the video because I've watched it in slow motion a bunch, but it's all he could do to draw the pistol he had. It was a 500, you know what I mean, Smith & Wesson. He draws it, cocks, and shoots almost in one motion, and he shoots right in front of this huge brown bear. And it was literally about 8 feet from us on a full charge when he shot, and he shot right in front of it. And fortunately, the river is carrying the raft. The bear, if you watch, the bear turns, but then she turns almost completely back around to look at us. She wasn't run off. She was temporarily, like, whoa, like, almost spraying a skunk. You know what I mean? It was like, whoa, let me make sure they're not getting any closer to my cubs. And fortunately, the river continued to carry us on. The crazy thing is, I looked at Bron, I'm like, okay, buddy, I love cubs as much as the next guy, but why didn't you shoot that bear? I would have been okay if those cubs starved to death. That's just, she was coming to kill us. So at some point you have to.
Could have weaned him really quick.
Right. At some point you've got to shoot the bear.
Yeah.
And he said, Fred, in that situation, that wasn't a bluff charge. He said, I was hoping to turn her with my first shot. With my second shot, I was actually going to shoot it off you because you were closest to the bear. And he's saying it very clinical, like, oh, I was just going to shoot the bear off you, and it mauled you. And I'm like, man, that's not real comforting, Ron. But it was a crazy, crazy situation, and one of those that I'll always think about. And it's so unique. My cameraman did an amazing job of capturing video. And after it was over, I was like, did you get any of that? And he goes, dude, it happened so fast, I think I got it all. And I'm like,
unreal.
What? And he goes, I didn't even realize what was happening until I heard the gun. And then it was like, it was over like that. And he got the whole thing. So it was so cool to go back and look at it. And, some people have actually used that in Alaska to show people there's certain situations that without a gun, we could have either all been killed or all seriously mauled. Mm-hmm. But literally, a handgun saved us from a seriously bad situation.
That is, it's what you hear that quite a bit when you go hunting on the bear safety and whether or not people want to carry a handgun, whether or not you're going to carry bear spray, what's going to work best, and just even having it accessible.
Yep.
I think that's it's. There's been numerous times where I've had bear spray in a zipper pocket on the side back of my pack, and I'm walking to It would probably take me 10 minutes to get to that thing. It's like
the bear would be working on your abdomen.
Like, oh, no. Hold on, bear. Hold on. I got this packed away. Just take a pause. I got to take off my pack. I'm going to get to this bear. You're going to love it, though. It's really peppery.
Give me a second.
Yeah. So when you hear stories like this, and it's like, wow, you got to really sit back and assess, like, how do I approach that safety? Because I've been hunting for too many years, like 20 years, 20, whatever it is at this point, and you never think, oh, it's going to happen to me. But man, when I saw that video, I was just like,
oh, it's unreal, isn't it?
Oh man,
and how fast it can happen.
Yeah, it's just out of nowhere. Have you had any other close encounters when it comes to bears, or is that
so many? Well, I was charged by a leopard. I was in Zimbabwe, and the PH shot it about, I don't know, probably 10 to 15 feet from me, and it was a full charge also, and he actually shot it with double-aught buck, and every single pellet, I think there's 12 or 9 32 caliber pellets in double-aught buck, and every one hit the leopard in the head. So you could see that the shotgun pattern hadn't even expanded at all. It was that close. But what was interesting to me about that charge, which definitely puckered me up again, it was roaring the whole way. As the leopard came, it was just a horrible sound. And we were using hounds, which was fun for me. I use hounds to treat mountain lions for clients in Colorado. But we were using hounds. But when this leopard charged, the hounds literally parted like the Red Sea. They just went, okay, have at them. Go ahead. We're not going to get in your way. And when this leopard came, there was actually 2 PHs. One PH completely missed the leopard, a little disconcerting. But Nico actually shot and hit it right in the head. But after growing up reading, Capstick and Rourke and, some of that stuff, what freaked me out is, I guess I'd read about animals sliding to somebody's feet. And, I'd hoped I'd never be in that situation. But if I was, I thought that's the way it would go down. What was interesting is the leopard was coming so hard, and the foot-pounds of energy from that double-aught buck hitting it in its head actually caused the head to go down, and the leopard flipped. So its tail and hind end came over it. And actually what hit me was the tail. So I would have thought it would have slid forward, but it flipped. It was coming so hard, and the foot-pounds of energy from that double-aught buck, 12-gauge hitting it, forced the head down, and so the back end came over. But it was one where we all took a few seconds. And I think my ridiculous immediate response was, great shot. That's a good one.
Well, and it happened so close to you that literally the tail hits you.
Yep.
As it.
Oh, it was unreal. Yeah, I've had. There's been some crazy ones.
It makes me feel a little bit better about myself because, I'll come back and my wife will be like, well, what happened out there? And I'm like, I got a splinter. But it was a really,
it was a bad one.
It was a deep splinter, and it still kind of hurts. It might fester. A little bit different than being attacked by a leopard. So tell me a little bit about your ranch in Colorado.
Yeah.
So what do you do there?
You know what? Me and my wife and the 3 boys, we ranch, we farm, so we run some cattle. We farm, so we not only use the hay to feed our cows and our horses, but we also sell quite a bit of hay. And then we run an outfitting business. We take about 180 guys a year, A lot of guys from the industry, which is cool too, and a lot of just regular Joes that that save up to go on a on a hunting experience. But it's great because I get to meet like-minded people from all over the country, in some cases all over the world, and we take them for whitetail, mule deer, antelope, black bear, elk, turkey, a little bit of everything. And we've been fortunate to take some really, to me, I consider high-profile guys in the industry, let's say, Kyle Lamb, for example, on your staff, a really great guy and an incredible shot. A lot of people, I think, they see some of these guys, on a pedestal and they kind of question their chops. Hey, are these guys the real deal? I watch Kyle shooting prairie dogs offhand at 300 yards, and I'm like, okay, I'm not that good. I could not do that, so really cool. But I've also got to hunt with, like, the editor of Field and Stream.
Mm-hmm.
I guided him this year, the editor of Guns and Ammo, the editor of Peterson's Hunting, and I've been able to take these guys out and have them harvest elk with me or mule deer, Neil Davies, from Hornady, super guy. So it's really fun for me to hunt with some of these people. Bruce, the president of Leupold, I got to hang out with Bruce and see that he's a hardcore hunter. He's not just the president of Leupold. This guy's out there in the trenches, crawling, wearing dirty camo. No offense, Bruce, but he was wearing dirty camo just like I was. It's like, we're hunting every day. Let's do this. So really cool to meet guys in the industry, and that's who I gravitate to. There's some companies where you meet the upper brass, and they just are upper brass. They're not really end users. And to me, companies like Leupold, what I mean? And I'll use Hornady as an example too, and some of the other guys in the industry that are hardcore end users, man, that makes sense to me because then they know what they're talking about when they're developing, whether it's a rifle scope or binoculars or a bullet or whatever it is, they know what's needed because they're in the field using it.
And you can feel it too. Just even when you talk to them, even when we go to work every day, you feel it in the building. And it makes a huge difference.
And hunting's a hard thing to fake. You know what I mean? And I hate to say that, but you can meet somebody instantly and you can talk to them for 30 seconds and go, this guy has no idea what he's talking about. You may be thinking that right now. But do you know?
No, I was trying to hide that look on my face. I'm like, God, I have no idea what I'm talking about.
No, I've been thinking that about me. But, it's what I love about it because it's, and I don't care how much experience somebody has.
Right.
But, it's a neat industry because you meet people that are passionate. It's a passion. It's a way of life. Hunting isn't, like tennis, not to rip tennis guys, but, and maybe they feel that way about their sport, but to me, hunting, man, you live, eat, breathe it. You don't go out on the weekends and just do it. You're spending the weekdays getting ready, going over your gear, researching new products that are out that may help you, either keep you safe in some situations or that you can use more effectively. So, hunting to me is how we feed our family with wild game.
Yep.
I told you we raise cattle. We sell all our cows. We eat wild game.
Yeah.
So, it's good for you. It's a great sport, and the people that are passionate about it, man, I love hanging out with them.
That's awesome. No, it just makes these type of conversations just more pleasurable.
Well, I'm blabbing because I get excited and I start talking about hunting.
So we're going to try one thing real quick here. I appreciated the conversation. And I know you're a busy guy, so I'm going to let you go on about your day. But we've got 5 quick-hit questions.
Okay.
So
is this like a time thing?
Yeah. You just first answer that comes to your mind, just so we're going to learn a little bit
Snuffleupagus.
more. That's
no. So this isn't what we're doing.
No,
all right. Sorry.
I didn't know we sent you the questions in advance.
Sorry, my bad.
This is just information that people probably, more than likely, really want to know. Maybe not, but I'm not sure.
Okay, now I'm scared. All right.
Light beer or microbrew?
Light.
Predator hunting or big game hunting?
Oh gosh, I can't choose. I can't do it. I can't. So close. I can't. I'm sorry. Bonk. Did I lose? I'm sorry.
Squirrel.
I love it all. Yeah. Man, it's so tough. Okay, a predatory bear. A predatory big game animal.
Shooting a predator while hunting big game.
There you go. There you go.
Ford or Chevy?
Ford.
Chuck Norris or Bruce Lee?
Oh, Chuck Norris. Come on, man. That's even a question?
Plaque mount or Euro?
Ooh, man. Euro.
All right. that was quick hits. That was
all right.
Yeah,
all right.
good
You stumbled
questions.
me on the one though. I was like, oh man, can I shoot an elk while a coyote's riding it? I don't know.
And then you can mount that.
Right.
And it's perfect.
Awesome.
All right. Well, you know what, Fred? Pleasure having you here. I really appreciate your time. Thanks.
My pleasure. Thanks for what Leupold does.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
Great talking with you.